I've reached the age of 103, and what I'm about to share with you is something you'll never hear from anyone else. Not from the people who raised you, not from the counselor you confide in, not from those inspiring books lining your shelves. Why won't they tell you? Because the truth cuts too deep, stands too bare, feels too uncomfortably real. More than 100 years have passed since I drew my first breath. I've laid to rest 3 men I called husband, 2 children I brought into this world, nearly everyone I considered a friend, and every soul I knew before reaching my 40th year. I've witnessed civilization reshape itself 4 complete times. Throughout all those years, one undeniable truth has stayed with me, whispering in my thoughts each morning I wake. We're all behaving as though time stretches endlessly before us, when in reality we possess almost nothing at all. Let me share with you the moment this revelation first struck me. Not when I reached 90, not even at 80, but at the young age of 33. 7 decades had to pass before I could truly comprehend what that singular moment was attempting to reveal to me. The year was 1955, October the 14th. The date remains etched in my memory because it fell on a Friday, and I'd been making plans to spend the weekend dancing with my husband, Thomas. We'd shared 8 years of marriage together, raising 2 young boys named Michael and Daniel. Thomas earned our living at the steel mill, a dependable man, reliable as sunrise, the sort who would press his lips to my forehead each morning before heading to work and whisper, "See you this evening, Eleanor." Only that particular Friday, he never walked through our door again. An accident occurred at the mill. The officials assured me it happened in an instant. They insisted he felt no pain, though isn't that what they always claim? What they failed to mention, what nobody ever warns you about, is how someone's sudden departure carries away all the words you never spoke. Each expression of love you held back, each argument you never made right, every instance when you were too occupied or too exhausted or too upset to simply exist in the moment. That evening, as I sat alone at our kitchen table, I made a vow to myself. I swore I would never squander another sunrise. I committed to living with purpose, loving without reservation, and never delaying happiness for some imagined future. You want to know something? I shattered that vow almost right away. Of course, I believed I was living differently. I embraced my boys more frequently. I spoke those 3 precious words more often. Then existence resumes its patterns, doesn't it? I found love again, became consumed with my work. My boys matured into men. I convinced myself I was managing well, that the lesson had been absorbed, but the truth is I hadn't learned it, not in any meaningful way, because here's what escaped my understanding at 33, what required another 70 years to truly sink in. Simply surviving heartbreak and convincing yourself you've transformed isn't sufficient. The actual lesson extends beyond the simple fact that our time here is limited. Every sentimental card in the store tells you that much. The genuine lesson is this: you will lose that awareness. You will slide back into automatic existence. You will begin assuming you have tomorrow again. And that forgetting, that gradual return to taking things for granted, that represents the authentic tragedy. I entered marriage once more in 1958. Harold, a gentle soul. We shared 42 years as partners before his heart stopped beating. And my deepest remorse about those 4 decades together? Not the conflicts we experienced, not the financial strain or the times we disagreed. What haunts me most is all those unremarkable Tuesday evenings I devoted to household chores instead of being beside him. All those occasions I responded, "Not right now. I'm occupied," when he suggested we take a stroll together. All those instances I behaved as if they were guaranteed to repeat. Because here's something nobody reveals to you about reaching my age. You don't merely lose the people who filled your heart. You experience that loss repeatedly in your memories. Each time your thoughts turn to them, another wasted moment surfaces, another exchange you were too preoccupied to fully absorb, another embrace you ended prematurely because you had places to be. My son Daniel passed away in 1987, only 45 years old, taken by cancer. I had reached 65. I can still see myself seated beside his hospital bed, his hand in mine, and he looked at me and said, "Mom, I wish I had called more often," and I felt this urge to cry out. I wanted to grab him by the shoulders and demand, "Why are we expressing regret at this late hour? Why didn't we speak to each other daily when we had the chance?" Those words stayed locked inside me. I simply held his hand and told him something untrue. I told him we had sufficient time. We absolutely did not. My third husband, Leonard, left this world 2 years back, having lived 98 years. We'd been companions for 21 years. And despite everything I'd experienced, everything I'd watched slip away, do you know what I continued doing? I still occasionally distracted myself with my phone while he spoke to me. I still occasionally showed impatience when he repeated the same story for the 10th time. I still occasionally thought to myself, "I'll give him my full attention tomorrow." Tomorrow didn't always arrive. You're young, sitting there believing this sounds disheartening, thinking, well, death comes for everyone eventually, but you're completely missing what I'm trying to say. What I'm telling you isn't simply that everyone's life ends. What I'm telling you is that you're living as if the rules don't apply to you, as if by some miracle your experience will be the exception, as if you'll find time in the future to exist the way you truly want to exist. I've lived for 103 years, and I can state with complete conviction that future moment never arrives. You tell yourself you'll explore the world when you retire. Your body will have deteriorated by then. You tell yourself you'll rebuild that relationship with your sister once this hectic season at work concludes. That hectic season will stretch across 20 years, and then she'll be beyond your reach. You tell yourself you'll finally write that book, master that language, take that journey, have that important conversation. Once you possess more time, more resources, more of whatever you think you're missing, you will not. Because here's the bitter irony. You possess time at this very moment. You simply don't recognize its value correctly. You exchange it for things without significance. You invest it in people who diminish you. You consume it worrying about concerns that won't hold any meaning 5 years from now. And then one day, if fortune allows you to survive as many years as I have, you'll glance backward and understand you possessed all the time you required. You simply failed to use it. I'm not suggesting you abandon your employment and chase some vague notion of self-discovery. I'm not advising you to ignore your obligations. What I'm saying demands far more from you. What I'm telling you is to pay attention at this very moment, on this very day, to how you're actually spending your one singular, unrepeatable existence. Your grandmother, does she still draw breath? Reach out to her today, not when tomorrow comes, today, because I am a grandmother, and I can describe exactly what fills her hours right now. She's positioned somewhere, perhaps gazing at photographs from years past, perhaps simply staring through a window at the world outside, and her thoughts dwell on all the voices she no longer hears, all the grandchildren who have grown too occupied, and she reassures herself that it's acceptable, that everyone must live their own lives, that she comprehends the situation. Yet it fractures her heart just a little more with each passing day. Your parents, if you're fortunate enough that they remain in this world, their time here has limits too. And when they've departed, the argument from 5 years ago won't occupy your thoughts. Whether they were challenging at times or failed to understand your perspective won't matter anymore. What will matter is all the phone calls you never placed, all the visits you delayed, all the opportunities you had to simply sit in their presence and chose not to. I understand this because I occupy that role now. I brought 2 sons into this world. Daniel left us 38 years ago. Michael has reached 76 now. He appears every Sunday, regardless of weather conditions, every single Sunday without fail. And here's the truth of it. Those visits aren't enough. Not because he fails as a son, he's an exceptional son. Rather because no quantity of time satisfies when you genuinely love someone. Every Sunday as he departs, I observe him walking toward his vehicle and wonder, will I see him return next week? At my stage of life, every farewell carries the possibility of being the final one, and that's not pessimistic thinking, that's simply reality. But here's what you must grasp. Your situation isn't different merely because youth is on your side. Every farewell might be your last one as well. You simply haven't accepted it yet. I have a great-great-granddaughter. Clara is her name. She's 16 years old. Last month she came to spend time with me, and she devoted the entire visit to staring at her phone. And I remained silent because what purpose would speaking serve? She believes she has endless time ahead. She believes her friends' messages require immediate response. She believes this opportunity, sitting with her elderly great-great-grandmother, will perpetually be available. It will not continue to be. And at some point, likely when she's considerably older, she'll recall that visit, and she'll recall spending it absorbed in her phone, and it will cause her pain in ways she cannot yet fathom. That's the suffering I want to spare you from, that anguish, that remorse. Not the regret born from major errors, those you can eventually reconcile with, but the regret of simple non-presence, of occupying space physically while your mind wanders elsewhere, of treating the people who matter to you as if they'll remain forever. They will not remain forever. My time here grows shorter with each breath. I sense it, not in a frightening manner. Simply in a certain manner, my body has grown weary. It's been functioning for more than 100 years, and it's prepared to rest. And truthfully, I've made peace with that. I've experienced a lengthy life, far longer than I earned or anticipated. But what troubles me deeply is the possibility that you might squander yours the way I squandered so much of mine. Because here's the understanding I gained 70 years too late. The instances that hold meaning aren't the grand ones. They're not your wedding ceremony or your graduation or your career advancement. Those occasions are beautiful, but they're not what occupies your thoughts at the conclusion. You'll think about Tuesday afternoon when your father attempted to demonstrate how to repair the sink, and you showed patience rather than irritation. You'll think about that unplanned Saturday morning when you prepared pancakes with your children and nobody felt rushed. You'll think about the walk you shared with your husband when you genuinely listened instead of rehearsing your next words. Those instances, the everyday, unimpressive, completely unremarkable instances when you were simply present, fully present, those are the ones that hold weight, and they're accessible to you at this very moment, today, right now. However, you must choose them. You must struggle for them. Because our entire world is constructed to divert you from them. Your device, your employment, your aspirations, your anxieties, your never-ending list of tasks. If I could travel back to 33-year-old Eleanor standing in that kitchen on the night Thomas died, this is what I would share with her. The commitment you're making at this moment to never waste another day, you're going to violate it. You're going to violate it repeatedly because you're human, and humans lose sight of what matters. But here's your actual purpose. Remember and return. Remember and return. Each time you forget, each time you drift back toward distraction and constant activity and taking people for granted, become aware of it and return. Return to being present. Return to paying attention. Return to loving. Not flawlessly, but consistently. I've lived for 103 years. I've existed for 37,595 days, and I can enumerate on two hands the number of days I remained fully, completely, utterly present. That's what truly haunts me. Not that I failed to accomplish more or explore more or accumulate more wealth, but that I moved through most of my own existence as if asleep. Don't follow my path. Don't wait 70 years to comprehend this. Don't wait until everyone who matters to you has vanished to recognize you should have loved them more deeply while they remained here. Stop reading these words and contact someone who holds your heart. Stop reading these words and go sit beside someone without speaking. Stop reading these words and observe, truly observe the people occupying your life while they're still here to be observed. Because I give you my word, with everything remaining in me, that future moment never arrives.